friends. And some people may be good night even, some people may be early morning, depending on which country zone you are there. So friends, what I want to do around is I want to welcome you to this webinar on unlocking sustainable procurement excellence. Now, how do we keep unlocking? By mastering ISO 20400. In the good old days when I was around in 92, when I was working in Denmark, we did this unlocking going on for many years. Let me tell you that each one has come with their own thoughts process. That's the time we came with ISO 14001. The focus was only on three things: energy consumption, wastage, and three things. Now it has come much long way. I think 20,400. Again, I want to be around in the first standard on sustainable procurement, process-wide. Normally, people say, guys, what is this about? Why this? How this? There is, again, a fifth grader question. And I want for every person to understand when we talk of any topic, what is this topic around? Why should I listen? How should I implement it? This is what I'm going to do in the next 1 hour. This one, I would say, in the good old days, sustainability has been up and down story going around. But now in the last few years, the climate change has made it compulsory in one way. Everybody's getting worried around. When 1992 it came, the green word came around. It didn't flow, to be honest. I was involved in that with the EU and all those things. But overall, it fell down. But now we are seeing the climate change has made everybody very conscious that there is no choice. Sustainability is a must. It's not a buzzword now. I would say it's the future of procurement. Some of you think why we are talking of future of procurement. At the end of the day, who creates the carbon emission? You and me buy. The government buys, you buy, I buy. So when we buy these things around, somebody makes it. The person who makes it creates emission. This is why the procurement becomes very important in this topic around. So I would say ISO 20400 provides a roadmap to get there. In this webinar, what we will try to do is we will try to explore how to integrate sustainability into procurement process. So, well, friends, let's get ready. I'll try to share with you the insights from various experts, practical strategies to transform your procurement approach. So this is what we are going to talk about. This is the way the first page of the book ISO standard looks like, ISO 20400, first edition 2017. This is the very first edition, you could say, and I'm going to cover more or less a summary of the whole book. I'm setting the context as I've said to you already. So let's unlock the power of sustainable procurement together. That's what we're trying to do. We start with the definition first. Each one of us come from a different context around. Some people think sustainability means green. Simple environmental aspect. But no, it has got various dimensions now. One is circular economy. Circular economy is something which is going into the sea with the earth. Can I bring it back? Can I recycle it? That means I'm saving the resources around. Eco-friendly. I'm not damaging anything around. Sustainable growth around. Better use of technology. Regeneration. This has picked up big way. In the good old days, we were all the time talking of cradle to grave. But now we're not saying cradle to grave. We say, guys, anything which goes to the earth should be recycled, should be regenerated. I might have used a big ship around. I can't put it in this earth or sea. I want to recycle it. I want to regenerate it. And obviously, it makes a cost savings as well. Climate change is becoming the hot topic. Conservation, we want to conserve the resources. There's only one planet with all of us. How many generations can go on with that planet? So are we going to leave something for the next generation or not? conservation part, renewable energy is a very hot topic. Population problem and grassroots activism around. So this is where the topic of sustainability talks around. Now let me start with a very provoking question in this one. If I say, have you ever considered the procurement decision impact the environment and society? If I go 8 or 10 years back, nobody talked about it. He said, what is this? Procurement has to do with the environment. But we forget the procurement is the one that somebody is going to make it. And somebody is going to produce something. And produce means create environmental impact. So what does it mean to procure sustainability? So if I say example fact, every company, even at home also, most of our money goes into procurement. Company also spends, any company, big companies, 60, 70% is going into procurement. So I would say procurement is the heart of the business. That's why this profession is growing in a big way. The only thing is now name is evolving from purchasing to procurement, from procurement to category management. And now we are moving into what we are calling around supply chain management. So the whole thing is evolving around. Now let me start with this one. What is sustainable procurement? I think the definition you got. As per the ISO 20400, the wording says it calls for positive environmental impact, social impact, and economic impact on a whole life basis. It is not only for today, on the whole life basis. That means when I'm looking at the impact of environment, social, I'm looking from beginning. The raw material stage till I dispose it off. Whole process, how much is the environmental damage? How much is the impact on the society? How much is the impact on the labor? How much is the impact on the economic side? Look at the basic definition. Now the reasons for ISO 20400 is we want to bring organization values into purchasing process. Reduce the risk, the competitiveness. If I can tell the world, guys, my products are green, they're not damaging at all, everything is recycled, will say, guys, this product is better than the other one. This is where we're trying to look at ISO 20400. The key pillars of ISO 20400 is one is economics aspect, social aspect, environmental aspect. The 3 P's around. One is planet. I think we all know very well from that's what is going on. The one planet, we have to save the resources. Environmental part is very clear. Social part means the people who are making it in this whole globalization concept. Everybody dumping to use the resources of the poor country. Cost of labor is lower. So when we get into the people who are less paid, are we taking care of their health? Are we giving the right opportunity to them? This is where the social issue comes around, that we are not slaving the people, we are using them and giving them the right things around. And the economics part. Now we are going to the greening side. What greening means the price goes up. Economically, does it make sense around? That's what we're looking at. So economics part, business head. So certainly you will also like to see, guys, does it make sense to go into this green? So part environment. So 3 P's, planet, people, and profit. Everything has happened now, minor change. Some people are focusing instead of economics, they're looking at the governance part. So here you can see ESE. Other becomes the economics part, becomes the governance part. So this is where ESG and ESE. Both are, I would say, more or less similar factor. One is dealing as the risk management for investors. I'm looking from the business side. I'm looking more from the government side, ESE. So this is where if I say around, ESG is used as a governance summarized way. ESG is best suited for companies and investors. All the companies, they want to do the valuation of their company. In the valuation, if I say I'm greener, I'm doing this, I'm doing sustainable practices, my governance system is this, I get extra point, extra scoring point. And ESG is used by the policymakers, mainly in the public sector. So those people in the governments, public sectors, they use the word ESG. In the private sector, we use ESG. Private sector, also the big companies who are in the stock listed around. So some company want to give a weightage for that. So that's the way broad. So one is called G, governance, other one is called economy part. Now, keeping in mind this, the necessity, we want to reach. And procurement function is at the forefront of the company's efforts to address this. Every company has finance function, HR function, other functions. Their carbon emission is very limited, except occupying the office, nothing more. But procurement people are spending money. Like contract to someone. Someone makes it, someone pollutes it. So that's why we're trying to address the supply chain disruption. Now, looking at if I share the major share of emission, 70%. Broadly, I'm saying around, if I say the auto sector could be 80%. If I say the pharma sector could be around 50%. Service sector around 40%. That much is attributed to procurement and supply chain. Even when they're going to the AI, artificial intelligence, they're just setting up a big data centers. A data center use a lot of energy. Megawatts, parawatts, it uses a lot of energies around. That means they're also becoming a source of emission. So emission is coming from everywhere. So this is where I think it becomes very important to focus on procurement. Now, ISO is the first major international standard. ISO is never done. ISO is all the time on the products. But ISO has come first time in 2017. So when Magnesh was asking around, I would say this has come much later, but now it's picking up in a big way. It provides a unique opportunity to affect positive change, provides guidance for implementing sustainability. It's a lovely document, and I have personally spent a lot of time walking through this. And my interest goes because I wrote my booklet in 1992. It's available still online, really. So we call the green book, the green procurement. But that mindset I have not left from 92 to now. I thought this is the right thing to go into this. So ISO 400 is a game changer, I would call. It is a level playing field. It is not that, oh yeah, this is done by Europe, this is done by Asia, this is done by Africa. No, it's a one standard for all. Nobody has to come with the new definitions around. The concept of carbon footprints. So I have shown one footprints. So what we do around when we talk of carbon emission and the greenhouse gases, which could be a methane, could be nitrogen, could be carbon dioxide, but carbon dioxide is a major content, 75–80% is that. So now here you can see fuel which you buy, water, which emissions, electricity we consume, transportation, you and me commute around, gases, offsets, we buy carbon footprints. So we have offsets on the carbon credits. We have recycling, we have the waste. All of these are happening because of our activity. These activities are creating, it could be the burning of the fuels, could be operations, could be the commuting around. Any activity which produces carbon emission, we're trying to see how we can cut it down and do it more efficiently around. The efficiency part is coming around in a big way. Like electricity production, everybody does it. We need electricity. So in my country, 90% was done through geothermal. Sorry, not the geothermal, geothermal around, coal-based. But now, and that was full of carbon emission. If I'm living in the vicinity of any power station, it has carbon emissions, but not now. Now slowly we are moving into solar and windmill. We are touching around 8 or 9%, close to 10. So that shows that's the way to go. When chip came in the beginning, the price was 3 to 4 times than the other electricity. But now it has gone 1/3 of the normal electricity. So people are switching over to that direction. Now, effects of carbon footprints, we all know it. Obviously, the very first thing is environment part. Tropical storms are there, wildfires are there, and unusual climate change is happening. If I go 5-6 years back, we didn't bother much on the climate change, not much. But now every country, irrespective wherever you are, affecting the climate of everybody else. The world is one, the planet is one. Some sound, I would request please, if some sound you can stop it so the others are not affected. Wildlife. Changes in the lives of the various wildlife species. Health. Around some countries, I mean, many, so much of carbon emission. Air quality is very good. The children which are going with asthmas. So you can imagine around health is getting affected. It is not good as well. The people are not able to do much productive work. Commuting is becoming difficult. Something which half an hour, now it takes 1 hour, 2 hours. So economic growth is also getting affected in that sense now. Now, there are 3 types of carbon footprints. I will not go into the too much deep because that is a big topic. Scope 1, Scope 2, Scope 3. So whatever you are doing, let's say your procurement office. Your procurement office, you've got air conditioners, you've got computers, you've got wastages around, you've got many things you're using around. So scope 1 is what you are doing within your own office. If you give me the figure how much energy you're using it around, how much water you're using around, how much wastage you're creating around, I've got the formulas. I can tell you that your office is creating so much of carbon footprint. Very simple mathematics, nothing very rocket science. Scope 1 is the most easy one. Scope 2 is also easy. Scope 1 is direct, which you created. Scope 2 is the one which your office is buying electricity from someone. If they buy electricity from a solar system, carbon footprints are very negligible. They buy from the windmill, again negligible. But if they're buying from a geothermal, then it's a big one. So that's what, if I know how much energy you buy, from where it comes, I can find the carbon emission of scope 2. Scope 1, your activities in-house. Scope 2 is indirect. Then the next thing comes is scope 3. The scope 3 is the one when you give a contract to someone, you are dealing in the government procurement. As Mrs. Tharan was saying around, government places order for roads, hospitals. Now somebody is buying it. Now one company X versus company Y. X is using all, you can say, recycled material. Recycled doesn't mean poor quality. But the other one is using the basic virgin materials around, again polluting it. And in the process, who is giving more harm to the world? So that's what we look around. Simple example I can tell you, I had a chance to work with another aluminum companies around. They make aluminum, 1 million tons per year. The bauxite they used, because from bauxite only 25% aluminum comes. 75% was a waste. So the mountains of waste are there. Now, because the pressure is coming on them, on the compliance side, they're converting those mountains into the recycling of the material. And this is possible. Sometimes we waste, let it go on. So this is where we're looking on the upstream side, supplier side. That means the supplier from where I buy the materials. Are they environmentally friendly? For everything, whether it's a brick, whether it's a cement, whether it's a bitumen, whether you're buying anything around, you have, again, recyclability looked into this. So sustainable specs are there now. Then the transportation part. So transportation also comes into that picture around. So scope 3 is the one I can understand around. It is still in the process of getting more matured. As on now, it is not fully matured, but scope 3 is the one which is the most tricky one. So if any research has to be done, I would say scope 3 is a major one. Europe has done excellent job on this. Asia and others, they're still, some of them are struggling how to do it. So now carbon footprint, scope 1, I told you. Emission is carbon dioxide, methane, nitrogen, and all fluorinated gases which are used for refrigerants. So, but carbon dioxide is a major one. So that's what we normally talk about. Scope 1, created by your actions. Scope 2, your office is buying something from outside. Scope 3, you are buying something. You are procuring something. Supplier is creating the carbon emission. So that's the one is a major issue around. So when supplier is doing, supplier also got scope 1, scope 2, scope 3. Supplier is also outsourcing it. And the other guy, tier 2 supplier, they're also outsourcing it. So till the raw material stage, from mining stage, till you get it around, there may be hundreds of touch points. So scope 3 is the one which we have to do the mathematical part. Now coming back to the ISO 20400. So I've given you the basic scope. Now I'm coming straight to the topic ISO 24400. It goes beyond green or ethical procurement. So it is not 20,400 is not about the green alone, or not only ethical part. It covers much broader picture. It promotes a balanced approach. What does it balance mean? Economic aspect. Am I getting the value for money? Environmental sustainability. And the third is social sustainability. So if you are adopting this, you are trying to comply with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The UN has come with Sustainable Development Goals. So this standard helps us to comply with that. That's what I'm going to. So this is how it looks like. So there are many standards around. One is 9001. I'm confident all of you must be aware of 9001. 9001 is all about quality. 14,001 is environmental management system. And I had a chance to implement this long back in 92. And I made it a compulsory for all my suppliers. And I was based in Europe, so it was easy for me. I said, I will not deal with any supplier who's not complying with 14,001. So ISO 14,001, we made it very clear. We will not deal with any supplier without 14,001. So 14,001 basically looks after energy consumption. Second, it looks after the water wastage. Third, your office wastage. You might be using a lot of paper around. Do I really need to use so much paper? Paper means cutting the woods around. So we used to look all that aspects around. So we had a team who will coordinate this, and we were working with EU quite a lot around. Now we have come with 20,400, which is sustainable procurement. So it's a much broader, but they're all linked together. 14,001, 26,001, 26,000 is social responsibility. So all international standard organization, ISO. So now I'm coming to the book of ISO 20,004. Scope, I think I've given you a lot of information already. References are there from where they picked up the materials, terms and conditions. And now there are 4 chapters, broad 4 chapters, which I'll cover up. Understanding the fundamentals. I want to implement this in my office. First thing, I have to understand the fundamentals. Second, how do I integrate into my policy and strategy? You and me know very well, you just can't say, I'll change the process. First thing is the principle, then come the policy part, then come organizing the function, and the last is going at the ground level. Implementation of any new ideas. Let me give you my experience around. In 1999, I went as a director for the UN, sitting in New York. I thought, okay, let me make a new manual. My manual was 300 pages. The very first thing I said, look me, I need the 4 P's. First thing is principle. You can't make anything. You can't implement without the principles. What is the purpose? Why do you want to change it? First thing is principle. Second, in this business, I want to incorporate sustainability now at my policy level, at strategy level. So this is done, fundamentals are done at the very top management level, board level. Then we come down to this is again at the senior management level. Then the heads of procurements and other, they say, guys, now we got the policy, we got the principles and policy, now I have to make procedures. And then I come to the practices last. So these 4 P's I'll talk about. So this is again from the same book, but I put in a very simple version. Scope 1, scope is the one in the book. Normative references, definitions. Now fundamentals, if you are the big boss of a company, whether public sector, private sector, whichever may be, or even the government as well. Guys, if I don't incorporate sustainability, what risks I have? Then to do changes, you have to do the due diligence. You have to go into the depth of it. You have to get some research input on each topic. Guys, what we are doing, is it really damaging our country? Can we avoid it? So everybody looks in a very selfish way, but it may cost also money to you. So due diligence has to be done. Then you might be doing in a company X many products, or in the government, you got a wide range of projects around. Now, which project is creating more pollution? So this is where we set the priorities around. You know, everybody has limited funds. So everybody decides with the, again, 80-20 concepts, take the bigger things now. So setting the priority and taking the bigger topics first. Where I can go with the low-hanging fruits, where I can really show my results faster. If I'm the head of a company or I'm a government machinery politician, I like to show something which I can demonstrate the results. So everybody sets the priorities around what to do first. Avoiding complicity. But does not mean that I have to avoid in a negative publicity wise, I give a wrong data. It has to be the correct data. If somebody finds I'm giving a wrong data, then it doesn't give a right message around. Now, the next thing comes is avoid exercising influence. My company, my government, whatever you may think around, depending on what role you have, you want to go into this. But are supplier willing to listen to you? Does your own team supports you? Some people say, guys, you're wasting your time. Exercising influence. So this is where we are looking around whether suppliers are willing to listen. If you're the biggest buyer, suppliers will listen to you. You are a small buyer, suppliers say, don't waste my time. No, I'm not interested. So exercising influence. So this is at the very top level, they do it around. Once they say, guys, no, we have to go into this. It makes sense. Economically makes sense. Again, from the social angle, it makes sense. And environment, it makes sense. Then they go ahead. So the commitment comes from the top bosses. Then we say, guys, okay, now we have made up our mind. Now we want to make the policy. So we got the principal level approval. Then we come to the policy level. So we say, what are the goals for this? How much pollution we are creating around with our activity? Let's say I've got a copper plant, or I've got some other plants. People health in the neighborhood of my plants all are getting spoiled. Pollution is so much. The poor people are not making a noise, but certainly their health is getting affected. It doesn't mean I have to stop the plant, because that gives a job to the people. But then mean I have to spend some money to cut down the emission. So organization goes. This year I'm doing 10,000 tons of carbon dioxide. I want to go from 10,000 to 8,000. Next year I'll go to 6,000. You can't win the world in a one day. So you have to set the goals around. Then you say, guys, out of this, how much my procurement can help? So this is how we come with the policy and strategy. So again, at the very senior management level, now we come at the head of the procurement. They have to see, guys, now my top management has supported me. But question is now, how do I govern it? I don't have a staff for this. Who will manage it? Who will be accountable? So I have to possibly hire some more people with the skill knowledge. who understand ISO 20400, who understand who are the champions, how to implement it. Then I have to take care of stakeholders. Bringing anything new in any organization or in the government. If you don't bring, you bring stagnant. If you bring, people will start finding faults for it. So this is where I have also gone through that stage personally. So stakeholders, you have to convince the stakeholders. Stakeholders could be inside your company, inside your government. Stakeholders could be outside, public. Stakeholders could be supplier, anyone. So you have to motivate everyone, guys, this is the way to go. Then you have to set the priorities. You can't do everything at one go. So you say, guys, priority one, this year we'll focus on this. Next year we'll focus on this. Third year. Like this year we focus only on plastic. One-use plastic, totally banned. Or if any plastic we're using around, we'll use only recycled one. So we set the priorities from step by step. Then there's a reporting part. And the grievance part should be there. If someone is not happy, any stakeholder, any user, they should be able to give complaints back to you. It can't be one-way traffic. It has to come with the grievances also. You might be improving one part, but might be affecting somebody's jobs, maybe affecting somebody else's way of living also. So grievances has to be listened. And the last, so one step with the principle, second at the policy level, the third organization is to basically I'm making a manual. And now the last one is coming around is real process, ground level. So somebody has to plan, somebody has to source, and somebody has to manage. This is the one again I told you in the beginning. 4 P's. Principles, policies, planning, and process. I want each one of you to know it, guys. Any change you want to bring, you are in the whole hierarchy, one person. You can't change it until the principle from the top are changed. Then the policy has to be made. Then the planning has to be done, the process. So when I was asked to make a manual, I have to start from here. Until I get the blessing from the top, commitment from the top, I cannot do it. Then this one, and the last. The ground level people will follow it exactly as per the process. So this is what we call the 4 P's. First P is principles, second P is policies, third P is planning and the process. And that's what may come the framework down. Now fundamentals, again I'm repeating on this, explore the drivers of implementing it. What are the key drivers of it? What drives it? And create a sustainable strategies in it. So this is where we come the policy and strategy. Policy is not just you can say fixed wall. No, you have to make a strategy. This year we will do this. Next year this. It's a strategy. Nothing is set in stone. So the policy said, yes, we want to get into sustainable procurement, but this year we'll focus on these products. Next year we'll focus on this, and our targets will be different. So strategy also will come. The word strategy means long-term. Enablers. So who are the enablers? The policy, the procurement function. The head of the procurement gets involved here very well. And the last is your ground level people who exactly follow as per that. So you will have standard operating procedures covering this. So this is where those of you who want to really get into this as a champion of this, they have to think of how to make SOPs, how to make strategies, how to make the procurement function enablers around. So this is what, there's a lot of work to be done on this. Now coming back to this fundamentals, the very first point is concept. If you are the top level person, the guy is not expert on the sustainable thing, but somebody has to explain why should I get it? What is this sustainable? Why do I need it? The top management people have to get convinced. It's same thing for the government machinery and same thing for the... Now the government machinery gets convinced, like in our country, we see around Delhi and this, some are gas chambers. So people are not going to vote them next time if they don't improve upon it. So health of the people is motivating people, guys. We want this. Principles of sustainability. Accountability. Now we say first thing is what and why. Now who is accountable? Then transparencies. We want the correct data, not the fake data. And ethics part. But this transparency means people's lives are also not affected in danger. So ethics part also has to come around. Core subject. The core subject of sustainability is the governance part. How is governing it? Whether in a company, whether in the government, who is governing it? Time is not far when you will see there's going to be a minister. There's going to be one company where I visited around, they hired 18 people only on sustainability. They had one guy who's heading the sustainability and does a lot of stakeholders. Procurement become the stakeholders. Governance part, labor practices, environment part, community aspect. And then the last is drivers for sustainability. What drives it? So drivers for sustainability, if I want to push something, what are the key drivers? One person alone can't do it. You and me know very well. We have to carry the team. We have to carry the stakeholders. So the key drivers, if I say, the very first is risk part. Everybody know, we say, guys, why should I do this? If I don't do, what is going to happen? Any activities around, if I don't do this, you're the head of the company, and you think, guys, I don't want to do it. Then the next question comes, if I don't do it, what is the risk for my company? What is the risk for my products? Same thing can happen with the government also. If people's life is getting affected, health is affected, there's a risk. So risk is everywhere around because everybody has a customer. In the public sector also got a customer. Private sector also got a customer. So if I know my customer expectations, legislation and regulations, organization ethics, public policies, security of supply. Simple thing if I say IT equipment. Any IT equipment you think around today, you make it, use it for 3 years, 4 years, you just dump it. Why? Because the old model is not able to cope up with the new needs around. The next thing which is coming up in the today's world is, can't we upgrade the existing one? Bring the new features into this instead of throwing it away. First thing, you save the energy, you save the cost, and you save the dumping of the material also. And electronic materials is also problematic. So customer expectation is one. Nobody wants to change every 3 years through the people who have got funds is different story. But some will say, guys, if I can upgrade my equipment, just change the chip, just change something, but not throw away the whole thing. So this is where customer expectation. If there is expectation, then you will certainly do it. Otherwise, you won't get a business. Competitive advantage. So that means it brings confidence to the investors. If this company is not polluting it, this company is getting the right product, customer loves it, and I've got a good governance mechanism around. So that's the reason. And cost optimized. So cost part also has to get optimized. Now, this is a very tricky word around whenever we switch over to environment part. Initially, the cost could go up for some item no. So when the cost goes up, the next thing comes around, is it because my volume is less? We had same issues of LED lamps. In the beginning, the cost difference was 3 to 4 times versus incandescent lamp. But the saving was much. Instead of 60 watt, I could use 5 watts or 7 watt of LED lamp. So you save big energy. Your electricity bill you save. But front end, you have to pay a lot of money for it. So the government supported it, many countries around, by subsidizing the cost. And later on, when the volume became bigger, then the cost went down. Same thing happened in the solar system. So cost optimization, if you look in a very narrow way, you will never change. But if you look at the longer way, 5 years, 10 years, then possibly it saves a lot. managing the risk, due diligence has to be done, a lot of research has to be done for every chain. You just can't say because you love something, but then somebody has to give you the data. It has to be data driven. Any decision you make today on the greening side, it has to be data driven. And that's where country to country, everybody has to do their own research. You just can't copy the research data of US or Europe. You have to do for your own country. Setting priorities around, avoiding complicity. So one doesn't have to do a fake things around wrong way. It has to be very clear. Exercising influence. If you feel you are the biggest power, you can easily control, then certainly you have influence around and people will listen to you. The benefits part in a very enhanced reputation, risk management, cost savings, and compliance part. Now, the compliance part will only happen when the government is coming with the requirements around. Or if you're doing export to the abroad, then again compliance will come. If I'm exporting to Europe, they're coming with, after 2030, they could ask me carbon tax. So my product may not be viable. So compliance is the one, and government can also come with their own compliance issues. The policy and strategies. Now here we are coming around, fundamentals we have covered. Now we come to the policy and strategy. But upper management still. So the upper management is committing to sustainable procurement. So ISO 20400 helps you how to commit, how to make a vision, how to make a mission report. So you make a vision and mission and clarifying accountability and say, guys, okay, these 10 people will take care of it in different areas around. So this is where we come with accountability of the people around. Now, this accountability people could be a part of procurement, or could be part of a separate team, but supporting procurement, aligning procurement with organization objectives and goals, setting procurement policies, and managing implementation. At the end of the day, it is the procurement who's going to buy. I may hire experts on knowing sustainability, but they can't do much because you are the one dealing, you are the front face with the supplier. So that means they have to help you to convince the people. Clarifying the accountability part, procurement team, sustainability team, and leadership. Develop governance structures around. Accountability, certainly the top management is accountable. At the end of the day, to the customer, they are accountable. Procurement management is also involved, accountable. But the people who are responsible are the people at the lower level. Maybe procurement officers, procurement junior officers, but they are complying with what you have given them. If you don't make a manual, you don't make a procedure, you don't make ISO 20400 must, you don't train them up, they won't be. So they need to be trained as well. Now coming back to the next one is, now, so we have done two chapters, the broad chapters. One is the fundamental levels. Second, guys, okay, now we have make a policy and strategy. Now we are moving into organizing procurement function. The third one. Now this is done, the manual part where procurement manual heads have to really work out the manual, the governing procurement. Training people, enabling people, identifying and engaging stakeholders. Who are the people who are going to make a noise and who have to learn it? Setting the priorities, improving the performance, and the last is grievance package. So this is the one, the third layer comes up. Again, I'm going to the 4 Ps. I covered the principles, policy, procedures part. So now this team is working on the procedure. And the last I'll touch on the practice part. The very thing is enabling people. Change the mindset. People all have been working for the last 30, 40 years, not that they are dumb. They know the things around, but still the mindset is set in the past. So you have to change the mindset. Why this change is required? Then you have to guide them. So people are certainly nice things around, but we have to train them up. We have to guide them. Why all this change? If we don't do, what will be the impact? What will be the future of the company? What will be the future of the governments? So all that thing, I think we have to do the enabling part. Enabling means building knowledge and skills. So when I look back in the last 40, 50 years around, in the beginning, that was not a major focus around. But in the last 10, 15 years, the knowledge is percolating much faster now. Again, thanks to social media, thanks to internet, thanks to whatever now AI has come around, people are getting much more knowledge than required. So you have to really cope up with that. Every information percolates very fast. So building knowledge and skills. So you have to do in a very optimized way the training program for them. Competency development. In the past, competency was, guys, okay, how to do sourcing, lowest price, and place the order. Anybody said, oh, it's a common sense. Anybody can do it. But not now. Now we need competency on negotiation. We need competency on sustainable specs around. We need competency on how much weightage to give to sustainability. So competency is required. The old-fashioned procurement where we said, guys, only price was the criteria. Audit will come and they will check the price, end of it. But now competency is required in many fields. Awareness program, company, promoting sustainability culture as well. And it has to start from the leadership. If they are not committed, then nothing going to change. Let me make it very clear. Incentives for green practices. If some suppliers are coming with a green incentive practice, can we give some weightage to that? If we don't give weightage to that, then certainly this will never flow. If you look at even the World Bank guideline, they have started incorporating this. Because we are doing those programs as well. So we have started incorporating some weightage to that. UN has also done it. So when those are public sectors, they've done it, why not others? Engagement platform. Structuring the sustainability part. So we have a dedicated roles. It could be initially a part of the same team. If I'm buying something, I'm trained on the sustainability side. Or when I find the work goes too big, then I need a person who will be only focusing on sustainability. They will have a targets, and they will like to achieve that. But this is a cross-functional team. You can't be the master of everything. So you have to take care of designers, you have to take care of production, you have to take care of everybody as a part of your team. Leveraging technology. Certainly the technology is the biggest solution. If today you think around the knowledge is spreading too fast because of the internet. But procurement-wise, we are still far behind. If I start from requisition till placement of orders, till delivery, it is not connected. They are all in silos. Requisition is okay in the ERP. Purchase order is there. But selection of supplier is done outside the box. Contract management is done outside the box. Performance management is done outside the box. They are all in silos. Finance is the only one which has moved very fast. When I see, again, from the Indian context around, I think we come in the top 10 countries around, which has done extremely well on fintech, finance technology-wise. Procurement side, we all have to do a lot. So this is where we call electronic procurement plate. Because once I got an e-procurement, then I can check the data on sustainability end to end. Otherwise, collecting the data is not possible. So you need the digital tools, you need analytics, supplier engagements. So I think the technology is, to me, a revolutionary thing which nobody can escape now. So that is what's coming about. Embedding sustainability into process. So strategic sourcing, contract management, life cycle thinking. Now these words in the private sectors are grooming very fast. On the public sectors, I know they are still a little far behind. Monitoring and continuous improvements. Key performance indicator. You say, guys, you're doing a good job or a bad job. On what basis? You need key performance indicator. Every contract, whether private, public, there must be KPI. And KPIs could be for sustainability. So without KPIs, the rest is all blah, blah. So you need performance indicators and then somebody checking it out. That's where we're looking at. Feedback loops and benchmarking around. Identifying, engaging stakeholders, internal stakeholders, external stakeholders. And external means NGOs, local communities, particularly for the public sectors. In the case of private sector, my external is purely suppliers and customers, nothing more than that. So these are stakeholders. Internally is all the management going down the line, supply chain, again, tier 1, tier 2, tier partners. Others are customers, investors, government. They're all stakeholders. Because sustainability is such a thing around, we all have to work together. So this one, again, I can skip few things, keeping in mind now the KPIs. We need to come with the KPIs on environment, KPI on social issues, and KPIs on economic partners. What is the total cost of ownership? If I look at the price, I got two offers around for my buying laptop or even air conditioners. One is taking 50 watts. Other one does with a 20 watts, same thing. But the price of the 20 watt one is more. But over the life of 5 years or 3 years, energy consumption will be less. So I can save my money on the energy consumption. So that means the total cost, I should look into that factor also. I'm saving on energy. I'm saving on electricity. But that is in the years to come. But upfront, it may be costlier. So TCO, total cost of ownership. So measuring and improving performance. Now this is where conduct regular assessments. So when I see 20,400, the very first step, even I'll call even till today, we should start promoting the concept of ISO 14001. Very simple one. And this one can be easily said, guys, like we have 9001. For quality, we say, guys, you should have ISO 9001. Otherwise, don't apply. We will not consider your bid at all. So same way, I would say 14,001 should be slowly made compulsory for considering them as a suitable supplier. So this is where we could ask around. Then there are fair trade. There are basically this labels. Then monitors the progress around and communication. That's the last one. Identify the gaps. So if there are gaps, we need to improve. So this is where we need to find which are the gaps in the countries. Obviously, we cannot outsource everything outside because we have to keep the jobs also in the country. So we have to find which are the gaps, which are the areas of improvements as well. The center of culture of continuous improvement. Today, you might have done an excellent job this year, but things are evolving. Technology is evolving. So you need to come continuous improvement on a year-by-year basis. So you have a target for this year. Again, next year, new targets. Next to next year, new targets. So those targets will take care of continuous improvements on a regular basis. Then we should have a grievance mechanism, as I said to you. People should be able to convey their complaints as well. Now, coming back to the last one step, which is equally important, is the procurement process itself. So the 3 layers I've covered up. The last process is building on existing processes. You all have got some process with you. Don't throw it away. Work on it. You say, no, I want to bring a new process around. I would say go with existing process so your team is used to it. Improve on it. Then we make a planning part. For any project, for any procurement, you could plan it. Then we'll say, guys, can I integrate the requirement of sustainability into specification? Can I select the suppliers? Managing the contract, reviewing and learning the contract, this is where it goes. One is this, I get a supplier, I say, guys, I want 5-star rating laptop, 5-star rating air conditioner. This is some governments have done already. So I'm going with the product base. So I'll say, guys, I'm looking for any electric, I'm buying a generator, is it a 5-star or not? I'm buying a vehicle, is it buying 5-star, 4-star, depending on the fuel consumption. So this is where we are looking around. Either I could make it a product based, Or I could say, guys, suppliers, anyone I select, I want, tell me what are the carbon footprints you are creating on that product. If one is doing more, one is doing less, I'll give preference to the one with the less carbon footprint. So I could go with the supplier based, or I could go with the product based. So there are two approaches around. Overcoming challenges, certainly there's a challenge. It's not easy. That's why we are discussing this around. It would have been a simple mathematics, no issues. There's a saving could happen in the long term. And those are happening through energy efficiencies, waste reduction, and risk mitigation. So example, which I said to you, now we have got the cars coming with electric, tomorrow maybe with hydrogens. So that means there will be less pollution. So indirectly, you're saving the health of the people. So those are also the savings somewhere. Now, question is, how do we convey this message around? Supplier resistance. Any suppliers, they're making money, they say, guys, don't trouble me. Until they are compelled, guys, without this, you can't supply to us. You will not get a business. And it is good for them also. Then if that concept comes in around, so cultural change is required. And every government is going through it. Every sector, private sectors are going through it. So they are trying to motivate. Some companies know very well, those who are exporting, that after 2030, if I don't change, I won't be able to export. The carbon credit will be so much, carbon tax will be so much. So now they are being compelled to change in one way. So this is where suppliers are also changing. The example I told you with the aluminum company, other ones around, so they're all changing. They're trying to cut down the carbon footprints. And they're also getting the benefit of it also. It's not, in the beginning, everybody resisted, it's natural. But once they know very well, this will make a good sense in the long term, it makes sense. So this is the way the planning is done, preparing sustainable sourcing strategies, then you're adding sustainability requirements into the specs, selecting suppliers, managing the contract, assessing the risks and opportunities. Everything has a risk and opportunity. So you have to look both sides. If I don't do it, my customers will not be happy. But if I do it, what are the opportunities around? Cost saving wise in the long term, innovation wise, market differentiation. So this is where we need to do. I think this book covers much more in detail. Because this, which I'm covering in 1 hour, technically we do in 2 to 3 days training full time with examples and application. Analyzing the cost. So we look at the total cost of ownership, not the only front price. So this is where I can show you something, how we work it out. This is the labels on the specification side. Now, coming back to this closing requirements type, nature of products, high-tech, specialized product, sustainability goal has to be there, and supplier market dynamics. If suppliers are highly innovative, functionals, they can come with new ideas around. Evaluation matrix, I think this is the tricky one, which I thought I'll touch on it. Let's say you got suppliers. So you will give weightage to each point, including on the sustainability. Then you will have a scoring. Scoring could be 0 to 5 or 0 to 10 for grading supplier as well. So this is where I'll show you. On the technical compliance, I'm giving a weightage of 40%. Sustainability features, 20%. Cost proposal, 30%. Innovation, 10%. Today, all of you, when you're buying consulting services, you're doing more or less same way, except sustainability is not there, but all you're doing same way. But in the case of the government public sectors, I know this word is missing, sustainability features, but now World Bank allows you, if you're able to convince them in the upfront, UN also allows you. So governments are also moving in that direction, how to incorporate sustainability as a parameter. If you don't take a lead, then nothing will happen. So you're saying, guys, the weightage, minimum part, then you say, guys, out of 40%, let's say total score is 100. If the guy doesn't get 35, 38, rejected. Technically rejected. So you have to put down the minimum. Here you could put optional whether yes or no, I leave it to you. Cost part, minimum cost, innovation part, so that's really. So another way could be the creating the matrix, could be technical specs, could be the material quality, dimension, durability. Sustainability is again use of recycled materials. Cost is the total cost of ownership, delivery, and assign weightage to them. So this is where we come scoring part. So we give supplier A technically because the allowed was 40%. So they got 87.5. Sustainability 75%. 83%. Total is 83.8. So their price may be higher if you look at the cost side, but on this side, the cost-wise, they were getting 83%. That means their price was on the higher side. But total-wise, they became on the higher side. So you are able to justify it. We're already doing it in the services, but on the goods part, we are ignoring this part. So I think we need to come with new dimension of scoring. Innovation, I leave it to you. It could be innovation, could be in process. Innovation could be in technologies. But obviously, you need technical, sustainability, and cost. So we call quality and base selection. So quality and cost and sustainability, we're adding up now. So this is where I just want to touch with you. I know I'm a little going over the time, but never mind. Is it okay, guys? 5-10 minutes I'll take up to close it up. So the price is there. Price is as you and me buy the laptop. You and me buy the air conditioner. You and me buy anything. But by the time I use it in 3 years or 4 years, our life, what is the cost to me? I buy a generator. I buy a car. Upfront is this, but over a life of 5 years or 10 years, what is the cost of the vehicle? Compare the two costs. Now, this is where it becomes TCO, but there's another word called life cycle cost. So life cycle cost is not TCO. Life cycle cost is from cradle to, again, grave or cradle. Grave means you're dumping it. Cradle means I'm recycling it. I'm looking at that cost also of environment. But then there are other costs also which we are not monetizing it. You and me are using the vehicles around. Some are polluting more, some are polluting less. It's affecting the health of the people around. What are the damage they are done to that? That cost is not covered. The cost to the society. You got a big plant. You're making big money out of it. No worry. But the pollution which you're creating around is affecting the health of the people. The water is also getting polluted. So that cost is all going into the LCC. So far, I think all governments and every company is focusing on TCO. But time is not far when we will look into the life cycle cost of everything before we clear anything. Well, guys, so if each one of you, some of you may be at the beginner level because you have not done any sustainability procurement drivers. Some of you already have implemented into the policy and strategy. So you may have a different level, beginner level, intermediate. Advanced one is the one which are already integrated into the procurement process. But now you want to go to the next step. So ISO 20400 covers for the beginner as well, for intermediate also, and advanced also. So, well, friend, with this, I want to thank you again for the patient hearing. So the one which is pushing for it is impact of the climate change. Most pressing facing humanity in the 21st centuries. As we move towards the net zero, everybody's talking of net zeros by 2050. Some countries have said 2070, but Paris Declaration is net zero is 2050. But carbon tax story could start from 2030. Some of the biggest companies have declared net zero targets already. That's where it's going on. Well, friend, with this, I want to thank you all. But in case you want something, you want any other things, any questions you have, I'll be very happy to answer for next 10-15 minutes. I do have some slides I can share with you separately how to implement the practical steps. So I can send to you if somebody wants. I got the steps how to implement ISO 20400. In 1 hour, it was too short time to do it. Yeah. Any question, guys? The floor is yours now. And I want to thank you again, everyone.